This instructional video is for use with the Legend Brand's Modular Shelving Base Kit 127793, the High Roof Extension Kit 127796, the Modular Chemical Shelf Kit 127801, the Standard Fixed Shelf Kit 127799, the Standard Folding Shelf Kit 127800, and the Heavyweight Folding Shelf Kit 127805. This video is intended to help visually guide you through the installation steps included in the manual. For more information on the contents of each kit and to download an electronic copy of the manual or for a listing of spare parts for these products and more, please visit legendbrands.com. Please note that it is important to read the manual included with your equipment entirely prior to the installation. The first step is to lay out each kit to review the contents and determine which tools to have on hand. This will depend on which kit you are installing. Now we are going to install the Modular Shelving Base Kit, part number 127793. This is a framework for all other shelving components, as well as the most complicated part of the process, which varies from vehicle to vehicle. Installation is made much easier if the T-mount brackets are loosely assembled before beginning the installation. Please follow the instructions in the manual for more information on these components and the included fasteners. The first step is to install the horizontal rails. Start the installation with the lower horizontal rail. If unsure how high to place it from the floor of the van, you can use the side panel to determine the best placement. The rails mount to the sheet metal framework of the van interior. Not all vehicles come equipped with factory-installed threaded inserts. You may need to drill your own holes and use the inserts provided in the kit. If drilling, choose locations with enough space behind them so that you are not drilling to the outside wall of the van. Do not drill in locations where there is wiring being routed. If using the 6mm screws, it is recommended to always add an extra 5/16 insert on both top and bottom rails. The provided insert nuts require a 1/2-inch hole for installation. In your kit with the insert nuts is a hexagonal tool and long stud. Thread the stud into the tool, then thread the nut onto the end of the stud. Insert the nut into the drilled hole, pressing the tool against the face of the nut flange. Hold the tool in place with a wrench while turning the stud using an Allen wrench or bit to expand the insert in the hole. Once fully tightened, remove the stud. The provided inserts use a 5/16 18 thread. Hand tighten the fasteners and leave them loose. This way the whole bracket can slide into the end of the rail for easier installation. You will only tighten all the nuts once you've determined your final positioning for the shelving. Try to use a minimum of 3 points of contact spread out across the length of the rail, except in certain circumstances that allow for only 2 points of contact. Check the distance of the lower rail to the van floor while installing to be sure that the rail is parallel with the floor lengthwise, or front to back. Be sure that the top rail is parallel to the lower rail. Measure the distance between the two rails at several points before and after securing it to the wall. The ends of the rails should align to each other as well. They should not be offset or staggered. Once both rails are securely mounted, slide the T-mount brackets into the end of each rail. Choose one end to start with in the lower rail and snug up but not fully tighten the nuts to the carriage bolts to prevent the bracket from moving freely while aligning the side panel. Slide the mounting tab of the side panel between the T-mount brackets and insert a temporary screw through the center holes to fix it in place and act as a pivot point. If you are installing in a low roof fan, you will want to do the same thing on the top with the T-mount bracket, but without using any fasteners yet. Insert fasteners through both slots on the bottom T-mount bracket. Only hand tighten the nuts so that the side panel can pivot freely. You want the outer flange of the side panel to be perpendicular with the van floor. So if you are using a digital level, be sure to zero it out on the van floor first. We used a square against the floor in this installation. Once the side panel is in alignment, tighten down the nuts to the screws in the slots. You can now remove the temporary pivot screw in the center hole. In a medium or high roof van, slide the T-mount bracket with the strap mount to the outside of the side panel. Align the strap mount hole to the most appropriate slot in the top of the side panel and tighten down all the fasteners. If in a low roof van, simply add the fasteners through the slots and tighten them down. Double check that your side panel is still perpendicular to the floor and adjust if needed. Repeat the same steps for the other side panel, making sure that the flat sides of each panel are facing inward to each other. Again, please refer to the manual for more details about this installation. Your base kit is now ready to have other shelving components installed. Now we are going to install the high roof extension kit, part number 127796. This kit allows a fixed shelf to be installed above the standard height of the modular shelving unit. This kit can be used on any medium or high roof vehicle that has 12 inches of clearance above the top of the side panels. Please refer to the manual for more detailed information. To install the extension panels, simply align them with the side panels, sitting directly on top. Place the small mounting bracket on the inside of the angle overlapping both the side panel and the extension panel. Use 4 fasteners on each side, making sure to insert all 4 screws before fully tightening them down. Once both sides are securely mounted, you are ready to use your high roof extension. We will now show you how to install the modular chemical shelf part number 127801. If this is the first shelving component you are installing, you will want to be able to move the side panels from side to side freely to adjust for the correct width. Loosen the nuts in the carriage bolts that secure the T-bolt clamps to the rail so that at least one side panel can be adjusted. Align one of the holes with a hole in the side panel flange. Once you have the shelf loosely in place, insert a screw through one hole to use as a pivot point for aligning all the holes. Insert screws in all 8 holes and tighten down securely. Your chemical shelf is now installed and ready for use. When installing multiple shelves, be sure to leave enough space between the next shelf above it to be able to remove stored jugs or other items in the shelf below it. If you are intending to store both equipment and chemicals within the same system, we recommend keeping the chemicals below the equipment to prevent damage from any possible leaks. The fixed shelf kit, part number 127799, is the most versatile shelf in the entire system, as it can be installed anywhere along the side panel flange. This is also the only shelf that can take full advantage of the high roof extension panels. Do not use the rear 2 holes on the side of the shelf for the mounting brackets. Then align the slots in the bracket to the holes in the desired location on the side panel flange. To secure the brackets, insert the screws so that the thread is facing away from the inside of the shelf, and secure with 2 more sets of fasteners on each side. Your fixed shelf is now installed and ready for use. Now we will demonstrate how to install the standard folding shelf kit, part number 127800. To install the shelf, it is recommended to first assemble the carabiner to the loop end of the 12-inch lanyard. When you know where you want to place the shelf, the tab for the lanyard is installed on the side panel flange 8 hole spaces above where the shelf hinge will go. Clip the carabiner into the frontmost hole in the shelf. With the front end of the shelf hanging from the carabiners, lift the back end of the shelf to align with the hole that you chose for the hinge bolt. The nylon spacers go between the shelf and the side panel. Do not over-tighten the nuts on the hinge bolts. This will allow the shelf to fold freely. The retaining pin is used to hold the shelf in the upright position. Fold the shelf up, insert the retaining pin in any of the aligning holes from the outside of the side panel, and select an appropriate location to attach the tab of the retaining pin. All of the nuts used in this installation are nylon locking nuts and will not back off the screw threads when not fully tightened. Your folding shelf is ready to use. The heavyweight folding shelf kit, part number 127805, is intended for large items like dehumidifiers, large toolboxes, or heavy totes. The recommended placement would be at or close to the bottommost position on the shelving unit to make placing and removing heavy objects easier. We begin this installation by assembling the components of the shelf itself, which includes the 2 side panels and 3 square tubing bars. The support bars have threaded inserts in each end. Only 2 of these bars will be assembled in this step. The 3rd bar will be used with the hinge bolt. There is a left and right side to the panels, so be sure to orientate them with the flanges facing inward. Install the carabiners on the loop end of the 18-inch lanyards, just like we did with the standard folding shelf. The lanyard tab is installed 8 hole spaces above where the hinge bolt will be located. Do not fully tighten the nuts that hold the lanyard tabs. They will need to spin freely when folding the shelf. Clip the carabiners into the frontmost holes on the shelf sides. With the front of the shelf clipped in, hold up the rear of the shelf to align the hole for the hinge bolt. On this shelf, the hinge bolt will be inserted from the outside of the side panel. Hold the third square tubing support bar in place and thread the hinge bolt into the insert. Repeat this step on the other side. These hinge bolts can be tightened to the point that the shelf will still fold easily without too much resistance. To install the retaining pin, fold the shelf into the upright position until the holes align. Insert the retaining pin to lock the shelf into place and locate a nearby hole to secure the lanyard tab. This completes the installation of your heavyweight folding shelf kit and all the shelving components of the Legend brand's modular shelving system.